Hi, I'm Krista McKee and welcome to Wandering Grey Bruce. Today we've stopped in the wonderful, beautiful Beaver Valley area and we're here with Joel at Free Spirit Tours in Heathcote.
Yep.
Hi Joel, welcome
Hi.
to the show.
Yeah, thanks.
Great spot, we've got wonderful weather today.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the Beaver River.
So here on the section that we paddle of the Beaver River, you can do about 22 kilometers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so most of our guests here will paddle a section that's about 8 kilometers long. That takes about 2 hours.
So that's a favorable section?
Yeah, that's the most popular one by far.
So that's an easy...
It's very easy, yeah. It's a lazy river, so there's really no way that you can get lost or anything like that. You just kind of a nice, easy float along. And that section, most people are right around the 2 hour mark for that section.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone came here and got registered, you take them to a drop-off spot?
Yeah, so the way it works is they come to our location, we drive up to the access point, and then it's just a one-way paddle, and you end right here where we're standing, which is right at the parking lot. So it's nice and easy. Don't have to wait for a shuttle or anything.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice that you don't have to wait for a shuttle.
Yeah.
So a lot of places they're set times.
Scheduled, yeah.
We're here. It's very leisurely and
and we do have set booking times, but it's just to kind of keep things organized. You know, when people show up, they can get going pretty quickly.
Nice.
So yeah.
So when does the business open?
We sort of officially open in the season the May 2-4 weekend. But often, if the weather's nice before that, we'll be open by reservation.
Okay, so then the section that you're actually dropping people off is still rather calm in May? It's not the high water's not
It moves a little
anything?
bit faster, but not anything dangerous.
Oh,
the water's a little colder, right? So, you know, if somebody does tip their boat and they get wet, they'll be a little colder, but as long as people are prepared for that, it's fine.
Right,
yeah.
And mentioning prepared, what is a good thing to be bringing with you when you come to
Sure. Yeah, so definitely earlier in the season, like June and early July, bug spray is a good thing to have. It's not too bad usually, but it's a good thing to have. And you know, some days if the bugs are a little bit more than usual, but definitely bring some water and some snacks. On a 2-hour paddle, you're definitely going to want to have some water. So we can supply all of that stuff here too, but it's just easier to bring your own.
Right. Yeah. Now, so you open in May, and then how late are you open till?
We'll go officially until Thanksgiving weekend, sort of every day. And then after that, it's by reservation again until usually the end of October. So it's weather dependent, but often the weather's still good enough and right up until the end of October.
Right. So is there any portaging that people would have to do in that 2-hour section?
Not in that 2-hour section. Okay. So from there, we call it Epping because it's the road that goes up to Epping.
Right.
From that launch access point 3 down to here, it's wide open. There's no getting out of your boat or anything unless you want to, get out for a snack or whatever. The upper section, if you're paddling from Kimberley down, there's a couple logs that you have to pull your boat over, but nothing too strenuous. It's just a matter of just pushing the boat over and getting back in. So good. The rest is straightforward.
Good. Now, what about plants? I know once people get out of boats to stretch their legs or whatever, there's things sometimes along the side of the riverbanks that they're not aware of.
Right.
What are some of the plants that are along here that people should kind of be cautious of?
Well, the sections that people actually get out at, that are typically where people get in and out, there is no poison ivy or anything.
Good.
There is a couple spots on the river, but they're not in any places where you would even think of getting out of your boat. So it's, if you're paddling down the river, you see like there's one spot, there's a nice gravelly beach, and that's a great spot to get out and swim. And there's really nothing around there to be worried about.
Wonderful.
So,
Now, what about animals?
Animals?
Around the river. What type of species is there on the Beaver River?
Well, that's the great thing about this river because it's a sort of a unique biosphere, and it's actually recognized as a UNESCO biosphere, and part of it because of the variety of animals that we get. So if you were to start up in Kimberley and end up down here, you're going to see all different things depending on what section you're in. We've got nesting bald eagles in the upper section of the river. There's great egrets, which is, it's like a heron, but it's white. Yep. And then there's 3 kinds of herons that you could see, the blue herons, and then there's a green heron and a night heron, which are cool. You don't see the other 2 as much as the blue herons, but they're out there. You'll see lots of muskrats, and it is called the Beaver River for a reason. There are beavers out there.
Yeah.
So if you're paddling the upper section from Kimberley, you'll probably see 3 or 4 beaver lodges. And sometimes if you're lucky, you'll actually see a beaver. They're more active at dawn and dusk, so you don't usually see them during the day, but they are out there. And there's also river otters, which is really cool. It's not as common to see them, but they definitely are out there.
They're usually pretty entertaining as well.
They are, yeah.
They
You
are.
can tell the difference. Sometimes people aren't sure what they saw. You know, a muskrat is usually just kind of swimming, and if it sees you, it'll dive. But the otters will kind of chirp at you and check you out, and yeah, they're kind of fun.
That's entertaining, especially if
Yeah.
someone's not used to seeing that.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
It makes a really good canoe
Totally.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any problems down here in the lower area in the spring? Like, do you experience much flooding because of?
Right.
I know we're on the river that the hydro plant's on up at Eugenia Falls.
Yeah.
And in the spring, typically they'll open the dam
do,
to
yeah.
release extra water. I know down here a few years ago there was some really bad flooding that took place, especially in the Kimberley area, and it was very unfortunate in how everything kind of happened.
Yeah.
But would you advise someone to be on this river in the spring?
We would say, if in that sort of that time of year, we don't put anybody out. If they were to go out, if it was a little bit flooded, we would have a guide go with them just for safety.
Right.
But yeah, I remember that year, and our heads would have been underwater right here that year. We definitely didn't have anybody paddling at that time of the year.
No, because it's really dangerous water then. You know, it's not safe water to be around at all.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that the Beaver River was just about 70 kilometers long. It's quite long.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
So can you? Like, everyone seems to stop here at Heathcote. Could you go further down the river?
Yeah, so we're at access point number 3, and then there's one more at Slabtown, which is about another hour paddle down from here. And it's a really nice section to paddle to. It's very easy to get out here, right? Because this is where you're parked, so it's really popular to do that.
Right.
But there is one downstream. And then you could paddle all the way out to Thornbury, but you'd want to have some whitewater skills and that kind of thing, just because it's not maintained for paddling down there. There's trees across, and there's shallow sections and stuff.
That's good to know.
People do it. Lots of people do it in the spring when the water's high, but it's, you definitely want to know what you're doing. Whereas this section that we paddle here, it's a lazy river, and it's very easy for anybody.
Yeah, so that's probably a good spot to start. If you hadn't canoed before, it would be a great spot to come here and do a little 2-hour paddle, because it's such a slow meandering river. Yeah, it's nice to see.
And we've got a 1-hour paddle as well too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the 2-hour is it's a really nice length for most people, but for people who are just doing it for the first time, there's an access point that we use that takes about an hour, which is just for your first time. That's a great amount of time just to get the feel of it. And
wow, very good, very good. Yeah, I know many years ago, as a child, that's many years ago, I witnessed the Beaver River rat race.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and to me it was horrifying as a child because it was in the spring and the water was wild water. It really was.
Yeah.
And watching people go around Clendenin Dam, because that's a large water structure that you have to be very aware of when you're canoeing. You need to know what your danger areas are. And I watched so many people go around the Clendenin Dam area except for one, and they went over, and everyone running from one side of the rails to the other and watching this poor boat just disintegrate in the water because of the it was horrifying. And then I think they quit doing it about next year.
It got, I've heard the stories. Some of my friends' parents had done it back in the 70s and 80s and stuff, and it got really big. You can actually, if you go on YouTube, you can find footage of it from, there's an old news spot that was done on it, and you can see some footage of people going in and the boats going over Slabtown, and it's pretty cool.
Well, it's horrifying.
Right.
So you would definitely want to know what your limitations are, or what your abilities are, right?
Totally.
Or both when you're on the river. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the great thing about this section that we do, is you don't really have to have any ability. And some people will, they'll call us to make a booking, and they'll say, I don't know how to swim, is that okay? And we're like, if you fall out of your boat, you can just stand up.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
The deeper spots are maybe waist deep, maybe shoulder deep in some spots, but it's actually quite shallow for what it is. There's really, no issues with people falling out of their boats or anything. And it's not a wide river either, so it's pretty easy to get to the bank.
Yeah.
So,
so this time of year, what's the temperature of the water if you did fall in?
It's pretty warm, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's so slow up towards Kimberley, like it goes through that marshy area, like it's a wetland. It has a lot of time to warm up. So like we swim in there and it would be, it'd be like 20 degrees plus sometimes.
Oh, nice.
So
that's
yeah, it's totally comfortable. Yeah.
Not as scary as I thought. Then.
Yeah, and it's not like Georgian Bay.
Yeah. Yeah, Georgian Bay is a little different, but yeah, I particularly like the warm water.
Yeah, it's totally comfortable.
Yeah.
One of our staff he swims every day, and it's good, clean water to swim into.
Very good.
So,
now, what about fishing? Could people fish down here?
You can fish. Like the Beaver River does have some areas for fishing, and obviously, like it's up to people to check out what's in season and what their laws are for certain parts of it.
Exactly.
So further upstream and further downstream tend to be better fishing here because in this slow-moving section, the oxygen gets a little depleted, so the fish don't hang around here.
Right.
But there are fish, like if you paddle this section, especially on a stand-up paddleboard where you can actually look down. Sometimes you do see some trout. There's browns and speckles in here, and in the fall you'll see salmon too as they swim up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. No, I didn't realize that the fish made their way this far up.
Yeah.
So
The salmon. Not a lot of them make it this far.
Yeah.
But I've been paddling and seen, they're huge when they get up this far, and you can tell that they're salmon.
Right. So does the canoe route interfere at all with the lamprey?
They have a.
That's up there.
No, it doesn't.
No,
So that's
okay.
upstream of where we do our first paddle. Yeah, our first drop off. So you don't have to worry about that.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we should try to get out on the water
You
and
definitely should.
give it a try. Oh, we've got a bird flitting around here
Oh yeah.
right
yeah.
now. Oh, a kingbird catching flies.
Something I can't quite tell from here. But yeah, there's
Interesting.
lots of little songbirds and stuff around. You
Yeah.
can hear them all around.
Right.
Yeah.
So if we get into a boat, what would be for a first timer? What boat should I be in?
Sure. So the easiest thing your first time, we've got a single person kayak right here. And we also have a 2-person kayak. So a lot of times people want to be together, which a 2-person kayak is great, but it's actually slightly more challenging because you have to coordinate your movements with each other, right?
Okay.
So for people who are paddling for the first time, we usually recommend this 1-person kayak.
Okay.
And then a canoe as well, same kind of thing where you have to coordinate a little bit, which is kind of fun too, right? Like
Right.
if you're with somebody that you get along with pretty well, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about these recreational kayaks that we use is some people, they picture like a kayak that you would see in the Olympics where you're in there, right?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I pictured. So when we brought some kayaks down here, I was kind of horrified because the first thing I think of is the rolling.
Is what would happen if you tip, yeah.
Yes.
And these ones with a large opening, and it's like a recreational type of seat where you're not actually attached to anything. If you were to tip your boat, you would fall right out. You wouldn't be you wouldn't even know that it was, you wouldn't have to worry about it. No, you're definitely
down
no. Yeah. And we don't put skirts on these boats because we don't need them on the river here. So yeah, anybody that asks about that, then when they see what we're actually in here, it's very easy to get in and out of.
And are they tippy at all?
They're not really tippy.
No?
So again, the recreational kayaks are designed to be wider. If you're in a sea kayak or something, it's narrow to go fast, and because it's also easier to roll back up, right?
Right.
These wide ones, they're actually, especially little kids, have to work in order to be able to tip it if they want to.
Okay, well that's good to know because I had a really bad philosophy of being flipped. So
no, these are they're designed to have to be very safe and not have any issues if you were to tip your boat.
Okay, well let's get some. I guess outfitted with some life jackets?
Yeah, sure, life jackets and paddles
and give it a
all
try?
that gear. Yeah, sure, we can totally do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Let's
all
go
right.
do it. Welcome back to Wandering Gray and Bruce, and I'm here with Joel at Free Spirit Tours on the Beaver River. We're all suited up with our life jackets on, and we're going to hop in a tandem, you called it?
Yep, tandem, yeah.
Okay, so I know absolutely nothing about tandems.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Well, that's
okay.
great. A lot of our customers have never kayaked before.
Okay.
So we're pretty used to giving all the basic instructions that you'll need. So I'm gonna hand you a paddle.
Okay.
And so a couple of little basic things about just how to hold the paddle. You're gonna hold it kind of like a bicycle, knuckles up.
Okay.
And there is a left and a right and an up and a down. So the way that you can tell on these where the label is, that should be facing me, and it should also be on the top. So you're actually gonna have to flip yours right over. Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, so your basic paddling stroke to go forwards is you're not gonna be using your elbows and your shoulders too much.
Right.
You're actually gonna try and keep your arms fairly straight, and it's all about using your core muscles. So you're kind of turning your body. I'm trying to not hit you with this. So I'm actually gonna turn my body while I'm pushing the water past the boat.
Okay.
And you can see that I'm not really doing a lot with my arms, and so it keeps me from getting too tired.
Right.
Yeah, so it's all really with the stomach muscles.
Roll.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, you can use your arms a little bit too, but the less you use them, the less tired you'll get.
Okay.
So yeah, it's when you first get out there, generally people will be a lot, using their arms a lot because they're not as comfortable moving their body. But once you get out there and realize that the boat is stable, you can get quite powerful with your stroke just by using your core muscles.
Okay.
So that'll make you go forwards, and then backwards obviously is the reverse. You
Backwards.
do have to use your arms a little bit for that. Okay. So steering in these things, in the tandem, it's nice. You're going to have me in the back. I'm going to be doing most of the steering.
Awesome.
Yeah, just like in a canoe, the person in the back is the one that's doing most of the steering.
Right.
In a single kayak, it's I'll kind of explain it in case you were going to do that. It's actually quite simple. So if I was to only paddle on the left-hand side, I would go to the right. Right?
Right.
If I was only to paddle on the right-hand side, I would go to the left. So you can do that to steer, and if you do a big wide stroke, it's actually going to steer you more. So if I do a big C shape beside my boat over here, I'm going that way. So that's the easiest way to go left or to go right.
Go right.
And another way you can do it is the reverse of that. If I start with my paddle behind me, and I do a big C shape from the back to the front, I'm actually going to go that way.
Okay.
So it's turning me, it's like using a rudder on a boat, right? So if I do this, and it actually turns me tighter. So if I do that move, it slows me down and turns me, which is nice for maneuvering if you need to avoid like a log or a stump or an alligator or something like that.
An alligator.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
So those are really, on this river, because it's a lazy river, that's really the only two strokes that you would use in a kayak. So it is quite simple. Sometimes people get mixed up which side does what, but after about 10 minutes of getting out there and you make a couple mistakes, you figure it out.
You figure it out.
And the worst thing that happens is you bump into the shore, and you're only going like 4 kilometers an hour, so it's not a huge deal.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, it's a really nice way to get out there and just feel it out, and it's very safe to make mistakes on this river. So when you're going out on the water, obviously we're gonna have our paddle, we're gonna have our life jacket, and we're gonna have this safety kit, which comes with all of the required equipment, which is a whistle and a bailer bucket and a rope. And it has a flashlight too, in case if you're paddling at night, you need to have some sort of a signaling device. So I usually just stick that behind the seat.
Okay. And of course our water and our snacks that we talked about before.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, always good to have those.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just we'll get launched and we'll do a little paddle around and you'll see what it's like.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
So I'll get you in first.
Yep.
So you just have to flip the seat up there.
Yep.
And you can hop in.
But we're on land.
Yeah, we do this the easy way.
Okay.
Getting in the water is a little bit tricky, but we always help our customers to get in off of the shore here.
Fabulous.
All right.
Yep.
So I'm going to slide you in here.
Yep.
Now I have to get in the water, but that's all right.
I got the easy job.
You got the easy job, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So this is where we usually end our paddle, but we're going to just go upstream a little bit and turn around.
Okay. So do we do it the same on each side?
Yeah, so exactly. In a tandem kayak, we want to be kind of coordinated.
Right.
Or else we'll hit our paddles together.
So I just do my thing.
You just do that, yeah.
And
if I need to steer us,
you're going to do it.
I can take care of that.
Wow.
There we go.
This is fabulous.
There we go.
seems much faster than a canoe.
It can be, yeah. It's a little bit easier when you're first learning to do a kayak, so you tend to go a little bit faster. And with two of us paddling, we can really get moving.
Okay.
Yeah, you're doing great.
I see what you mean by arm or core.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you keep your arms a little bit further, your hands a little bit further away from each other on the paddle, yeah, you'll get just a little bit more power.
Yep.
There we go.
Feel that.
And then try and use your upper body a little bit more and a little bit less of your shoulders and elbows. So if you keep your arms long and turn your shoulders from left to right. There we go.
It is different.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn us around here.
Okay. And I keep paddling?
Yeah, you can just keep paddling. There we go.
You are a very strong paddler.
I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, I definitely feel as if I'm not contributing. You're doing all the work. Wow. So we could actually just get on the river and float for a very long time.
Yeah, we're going with the current, right?
So a 1 hour paddle could be a 1.5 hour paddle.
Yeah,
really.
exactly. Yeah, we don't really, since we're going with the flow, if we stop paddling, it's not like we're going to have to go against, you know, we're not going to start floating the wrong way.
Right.
So, yeah, that's one of the great things about this river.
So do you have many people go past where they're supposed to get off?
No,
Out?
it doesn't happen. You can see on the left our giant stop sign.
Yes.
So we always point out to people where they would get out before they do the paddle. But in case they are not paying attention to that, they're not going to miss our stop sign.
Right.
So,
No, and that's good to have.
yeah, yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Sorry,
I can take us right in here. So when you're coming in here, we go full speed.
Yes?
And right when we're about to hit the shore, we lean back. There we go. And it'll get you up on the bank a little bit. So getting out, it's good to kind of give yourself a little bit of a brace on the, I can kind of hold us to keep you steady.
So I put my paddle where? Just on the
Yeah,
side?
just up there is fine. Yeah.
Okay. So that was a great experience, Joel.
Good.
Thank you very much. If people are interested in coming here to Free Spirit Tours, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Sure. The easiest thing is just to go on our website, which is www.freespirit-tours.com. You can always just Google Free Spirit Tours and we'll come up. And right from the website, you can find information about all of our tours that we do, which is not just paddling, but we do rock climbing, we do caving, kids camps, we have a forest school, all sorts of other interesting things. And they have different phone numbers for the different activities, so people can find out the information there, or you can just book right online too.
Oh, no, that's handy.
Yeah.
Now, should a person be a little more vigilant if they were going to do something on the weekend, not to procrastinate and get online and book?
Yeah, you definitely want to book early, especially long weekends. It can get, we can get full up at some times, so if you want to have a particular time, the earlier you book, the better.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for having us today.
Thank you.
It's been quite a good experience. I've never been in a kayak before.
All right.
So yeah, it's been marvelous.
Yeah, you did great.
Yeah. You did all the work. So thank you very much for having us here, and stay tuned. We will be out and about again, wandering Grey and Bruce County.